Welcome to Go Bucks. Guys, Michigan versus Ohio State is hours away. Something like 15 hours from now. It's insane. How you guys doing? Matt?
Well, it's 7:44, and Michigan still sucks. I just want to tell you a funny story before we get started. I was just got back from vacation today. I was going to Jamaica, and when I landed in the airport, I saw two Michigan fans with their jerseys on the walkway below me, and I like yelled out across the airport. I'm like, "Go Bucks!" And they just looked at me like I was a lunatic. And then my wife is like, "Why are you being so loud and obnoxious?"
Wait a minute. She's
Hey.
asking why you're being loud and obnoxious. How long have you been married?
Exactly.
It's
She should
game
know
week.
better.
That's how you got to act. But you know what, though? I got to say, you were on here for our last call earlier this week, Matt. This was absolutely poor planning on your
Yeah.
part to have
You're not allowed to
vacation.
leave us and leave us with Diego. He's
I know.
he's the ruiner of all good things.
Yeah, I heard you guys had a nice podcast going, and then things had to be edited.
From Diego because he's a creeper.
This is what happens when we allow a Maryland fan, one of the few Maryland fans, actually speak in
Well,
public.
the good thing that came out of that, at least, was the comment from one of our watchers had a hilarious joke about Diego saying he'd never seen a Maryland fan live and in person.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, if we didn't know
exactly.
Diego, we wouldn't either.
Yeah, exactly. All right. I mean, this game coming up has a lot of stakes. I mean, I can't remember the last time the game meant this much. Seriously, it is even past
Yeah,
just
the only
winning
other
the
one.
game, the playoffs. I mean, it goes on top of just like, is Ryan Day really going to lose to an interim coach? Um, if Michigan loses, everyone's going to say it's Connor Stallions, right? Connor Stallions wasn't in the game, so therefore Michigan loses without him. Everyone's going to say that.
Yeah,
But
plus it's for the playoffs on its own, even if there's no other distractions going on, and without Harbaugh and the sign stealing, and it's still for most likely only one team from the Big Ten is going to make it. I think there's an outside, really really slim shot that Ohio State could make it if they lose, and even slimmer shot for Michigan. Just everyone else has to lose this week. Like Auburn would have to lose. Alabama would have to lose to Auburn. Georgia would have to lose to Alabama in the playoff or in the SEC championship game. FSU would have to lose to Louisville, and who else? I guess
Isn't Washington
Oregon State would have to lose to Oregon. Would have to lose to Oregon State and then beat Washington. So a lot of crazy stuff would happen. Like last year was like a pretty much a lock that Ohio State was in no matter what. Where this year it's there's it's a ton of really highly ranked and thought of teams this year. Not like as elite as previous years, but overall like the talent from like 1 to 8 is really solid this year.
Yeah. And Nate, for you, Michigan doesn't have that strength of schedule to help them out. At least Ohio State played Notre Dame, who's top 25. Michigan doesn't have any other people outside of Penn State.
Yeah, but that's only one game Ohio State played.
One more than Michigan played.
Hey, Antoine, how's it going? Yeah, I know. The Buckeyes, they do love excuses. Can you guys read this? Matt, can you see this?
No, I can't. You're going to have to read it for me.
Yeah, Antoine says, I know you Buckeyes love excuses. Let me erase one of your newfound excuses. Of Connor. For the 100th time, Ryan Day said he changed the plays that got to your peanut.
That's not true. That's not true.
Yeah, he did.
And Juan Jones said they didn't have time to change all the plays. They were able to change some of them.
Well, you don't change all the plays because every team has probably like close to 1,000 signs and play. You don't change them all. Yeah. But they probably changed the ones they planned on using in the game. So that's all that matters, right?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously the sign stealing helped, but the thing that I will say, the last 2 years our defense just did not have good players, right? So I mean, you take everything aside from that, like it's possible we could have won without the sign stealing, but those were some really bad defenses, especially 2 years ago. Last year's was a little bit better. But I mean, just look at it. I mean, if you look at all the people that were starting last year, it was either people that were hurt, good players that were hurt, or, like Denzel Burke was coming back from an injury, so he wasn't 100%. And honestly, he wasn't, I don't know how much of it was injury related, but 2 years ago, he was great. Last year, he was hurt most of the year and didn't play as well. And then, we just had like a bunch of guys in the secondary. Like every single person besides Burke in the secondary was just hot garbage. And, now you replace it with, we have 4 or 5 guys that are all amazing. Even without Ransom, all the other guys and even a couple of their backups are superstars. I mean, it's just night and day. We go from complete trash to like all these amazing guys in our secondary. Our linebackers still aren't as good as past years. I still would say that's out of the whole team, really, like the biggest weakness on our team outside of like our center is our linebackers in pass coverage.
All right. Well, I'll tell you what. So I think it's a little overblown, but I think what we want to do today, just because the game's tomorrow, let's do the exercise why Michigan will win and why Ohio State will win. So
Okay.
Let's start with you, Jason. Why is Michigan going to win this game? That's tough.
Well,
that's tough for a guy wearing a Buckeye shirt.
It is.
Both guys wearing a Buckeye shirt.
They've won 2 years in a row.
Yeah, that's gross.
My kids who go to Ohio State got me this shirt, so I'm wearing it. I'm financially obligated to root for Ohio State, as we always say. Michigan's won the last 2 years in a row, so they have a little bit of that psychological advantage. Ryan Day is definitely on the hot seat for this game. Michigan has nothing to lose. Like they're an interim coach. There's a lot of stuff going on. There's a lot of the non-field stuff that's working to their favor. Again, they won two years in a row against Ohio State, man. Like they should be a lot more confident going into the game, and that's one reason why they should win or can win.
Very true. Go ahead, Matt.
Well,
why is Michigan going to win?
Last year we had C.J. Stroud, who's the best quarterback who's ever played at Ohio State. We still had 5 false starts, and that was playing. Actually, I'm sorry, that was 2 years ago, his first year there. But he was still like at the end of the year, so he was, pretty experienced at the end of his first year starting, and he was an elite player with elite receivers. He had 5, they had 5 delay of games or whatever that game, and obviously everyone thinks that he was, a million times better than Kyle McCord. And, the stadium noise and everything else and just the atmosphere and, first time in that kind of an experience for McCord, it's going to be a big deal. And, like this whole game, like I feel really confident about almost everything in this game. The only 2 things, which are big things that I'm worried about are, Kyle McCord, getting sacked and fumbling the ball and then them like returning it for a touchdown, or he like gets pressured up the middle because our center can't handle your 330-pound beast of a defensive tackle and he gets sacked or throws an interception, or he's already a little bit gimpy. Like I'm a little worried about that, and both quarterbacks are a little bit gimpy right now, so that'll be another.
Kyle McCord has not played a team this good.
Yeah.
In his career.
Yeah. So the Notre Dame defense is similar to the the Notre Dame defense is very close. I think that was a similar atmosphere as this. It's pretty crazy up there because that game also was at night too, so that was even harder. I think it's a lot harder to play. Like I would say, at night at Notre Dame would be harder than at Michigan during the day, even though it's still going to be a crazy atmosphere. It's not like a night game atmosphere. So he was able to do that, but again, like so much of this is going to come down to McCord and how he can handle, hopefully Ryan Day will be able to, scheme up some things to do a lot of, we don't usually do screen passes, but do things like that and just lean on the running game and short passes. And, you still have to take your shots to Marv, but I would, every time I get in the red zone, I'd just throw it to Marv, even if he's double covered. I mean, what's the worst that can happen in that situation, as long as he gets the pass off? So really, it's just, Kyle McCord being able to even just play an average game. Kyle McCord plays an average game and doesn't do anything stupid, they win. And then the second thing I'm worried about is our special teams, which has made at least one mistake almost every game this year. And I'm not even talking about like kicks or anything. It's just, whether it's not covering a punt return or having not enough people on the field or too many people on the field, or it's just always something. Like there's always 1 or 2 special teams gaffes. And this is like the first time I've ever, these last 2 seasons really, actually, the first 2 times that we had a huge special teams bluff against mistake against Michigan last year and against Georgia. So between the end of last year and then all of this year, our special teams has just been a complete disaster. So I'm just hoping that if we go out there and just fair catch everything and just kick all the punts out of bounds so we don't have to risk a return, like I'm just worried about something stupid happening on special teams. So special teams okay, and Kyle McCord has an average game, then I think we're okay. But those two areas, I'd be really concerned.
You answered why Ohio State was going to win, not why Michigan was going to win.
No, those are the two areas, though.
Okay.
Those
special
are
teams and quarterback. Okay. Well,
yeah,
Michigan does have an advantage, right, Nate, at quarterback?
I would say that maybe. I mean, it just depends on who you're throwing to as well. But Antoine's right too about the Ohio State having like some maybe lighter defensive tackles. They're around 280. That's about what Penn State's defensive tackles weigh. So I mean that's definitely a factor. And
how much does James Franklin weigh?
I agree. that there's that too. But yeah, and Kyle, it sounds like Matt, you think Kyle is like the number one X factor for Ohio State.
Yeah, just like not fumbling, not taking like God, he's had so many stupid penalties too recently.
He doesn't need to win the game. He just needs to not lose it, right, Matt?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
so like basically not do what Talia did against Michigan. So when your guys fail to block somebody and they're coming in there to kill you, just fall to the ground. You don't need to try to like be a superhero. Take the sack, eat it. You don't need to be like getting destroyed and trying to make a play and then fumbling and then they return it for a touchdown. You cannot do that. That's why Maryland lost. That was a good game other than like Talia just being stupid.
Yeah. Well, and McCord, he doesn't throw those intermediate passes very well. Like what Antoine's talking about.
Doesn't always happen.
Oh no, yeah,
yeah.
His checkdowns are really good, and his deep balls
can be. Everyone should be good at checkdowns. They're like under
his
10
deep
yards
balls.
passes.
His deep balls have had problems too. They're not as bad as in like they're incomplete or intercepted. What happens on the deep balls is he'll have a 40-yard pass. Well, it'll be a great pass, except for it would have been a touchdown had he led the receiver. The receivers are always having to come back or just wait for it, and then the guy can tackle him.
Yeah.
So I mean that's not as bad as like it could be worse, but he definitely needs to work on leading his receivers. But obviously that's more of a nitpick versus the reason why he's really needs to just when he gets pressure in his face, they need to have answers for that. They need to have the hot route ready to go on those plays.
Now is Hall injured?
Because
I heard that. He was
got
injured,
hurt,
but then he's going to play though, right?
Yeah. So he was injured. He not sure what the injury was, but he set out the second half. And,
looking at the comments, is that David Wright, the one who just retired from the Mets, the third baseman? Man, he's a Michigan fan. Did he play college ball there or something?
He's talking about you two, by the way, with the Ohio shirts.
What am I saying? That's not right.
No.
I'm not making any excuses for anybody.
Yeah. Oh, that's good stuff. All right. I'll explain why on my end from the Michigan, fans goggles basically. So one of you even mentioned most of their team's back this year, right? So a lot of them are back. They've got a lot of guys back. They're missing a little on the offensive line, but you could say it was almost a complete returning team, especially on defense, and the quarterback's returning. Usually you have a returning quarterback versus a team that has a first-year quarterback. Usually you would say that's an advantage, right? Great leadership on the team. It's at Michigan. I think that means a lot, especially for like crowd noise, because in the last two games, our offensive tackle has been getting beat around the side, Carson Barnhart. And I think that when he's at home, he's going to be a little better when the crowd noise isn't so bad.
How distracting will it be when the FBI breaks into the locker room in the athletic offices during the game?
Hey, that's next year, buddy. We don't have to worry about that this year. That's next year.
That's the risk of the home game. If you have law enforcement be breaking in. Why
Blake Corum is healthy. I think this is one of the funny things about this game. With Blake Corum being healthy this year, and Antoine even mentioned it, this is the team that Ohio State was expecting to get last year. This is the offense they were expecting to get last year. Like last year, they were playing the ghost of Blake Corum, basically, with playing that zero zero coverage, just trying to stop the run. And then they just let a lot go over their heads. I think that was a big thing. Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards, they tend to show up in big games. Like they've been underwhelming this whole year, but they tend to show up in big games. And you could see that by Penn State. They both had their best game of the year against the best defense. Probably, I think at the time it was the number one.
Weren't they both under 4 yards a carry though against Penn State?
No, they were both over 5 yards a carry against Penn State.
Are you sure?
Yep, you can look that up. Yeah, I think actually, and what's his name? Blake Corum actually had 140 something yards, I think, for 5.6 yards a carry in that game, and Donovan had 5 point something yards per carry. I know it was over 5 though. So that was fantastic.
I know that Donovan had a good game. I know because that was like his first game. He had like over 4 yards a carry.
Yeah, they show up in the big games, and hopefully that's what happens tomorrow.
Well, I think didn't they get under 100 yards rushing combined against Maryland?
Oh yeah, they didn't look good against Maryland. They were in the 3 point something. They must have been trying to stay healthy. But then there's Cornelius Johnson. He's an interesting character. He's our wide receiver, and he doesn't do much throughout the year. But it's funny because he's had 2 games against Ohio State in 2021 and 2022, came out huge. The first game in 2021, Cade threw him a deep ball. It was on Trey Burke. Burke had good coverage. Cade just threw a really good pass, got him at the 1 yard line. Huge play at the time. Then what happened last year with the two touchdowns.
Yeah.
Both zero coverage. Who's the guy that was covering him on the second one? I don't ever see him on defense anymore for Ohio State.
Yeah, he's gone. What's his face? Brown, was it Brown or something?
No, I don't think so. Not Cam Brown. Different guy.
No, Cam Brown was. Oh no, Cam Brown was the one who was the first touchdown that you had last year, where it was an out route. Cam Brown missed the tackle and he ran 70 yards for a touchdown or something. Who was the receiver who did that?
For the long touchdown, the second one.
No. The first half when Ohio State was winning, they had there was a blitz, all out blitz, and they threw a 10-yard out pass. I think it was Cam Brown missed the tackle, and then Johnson ran 70 yards for a touchdown off of a short, out pass.
And then literally,
he makes a tackle there. It's 4th down, and you have to punt. So just like a competent cornerback would have been able to do it. And the other one, I think Cam Martinez gave up at least one of the big touchdowns, and I think Ransom might have given up another one. But last year, the entire secondary was just a complete joke.
Yeah, I can't remember the guys the DB that gave up the second touchdown, the one where Cornelius Johnson was wide open.
He got turned around. That was Cam Martinez, the worst defensive back I've ever seen play at Ohio State.
Martinez, yeah. Hey, I'm not talking bad about that guy.
These comments are funny. Like I'm laughing. How is Iowa 17th in the country right now? That's just shows you how
they have like the best defense in the country. They win on defense. They actually should only have one loss. They got screwed out of one of the games where they had that punt return.
Yeah,
have a good one.
But, just think about how good your defense has to win that many games when you have the worst offense in the country.
But they play in that West Division, which is garbage.
Yeah,
it's garbage teams, garbage people.
Somehow Penn State got 31.
Well, every once in a while you can get lucky.
They were probably mostly defensive scores, I'm sure.
Something. Who knows?
Probably true, JJ.
Gave the ball a short field.
Yep. All right. So Cornelius Johnson was my last one. So Michigan. So here's what I think, and you guys can give me your opinion on this. I think Michigan's defense versus Ohio State is better than Ohio State's defense versus Michigan. I think Michigan has an advantage on defense in this game. And I think that probably comes down to Kyle McCord. But I also think the Buckeye run defense is a little vulnerable based on some games that I've seen. And I think that even with all of the drama that's surrounding this program right now and this whole game, if Michigan can have a good running game, that's going to cut through all that. It's like good running games, good defenses travel everywhere, right? And then my last one, Travion Henderson. as good as he's been this year, and he's probably going to be one of the reasons why I think Ohio State will win too. But Travion, he's only been playing. He's looked good against bad defenses, like all year. That's it. Like he hasn't looked good. He did look okay against Notre Dame. He had like a really, really long play for a touchdown, so it's kind of hard to say he didn't look good in that game, and it was against a good defense.
Yeah, I mean,
but it
he
was
had
a 61-yarder touchdown,
yeah.
and he only had 106 total yards in the game. He had I looked it up. He had like 14 carries for 106 yards, but his touchdown run, his longest was 61. So if you do 13 carries for 40 yards, 42 yards, whatever that is, do the math on that. Not great. So I mean, those are the reasons why I think Michigan could win this game, putting it all together.
I just want to make a quick comment about the run game, the Ohio State run game, that is. So you know how I don't know how much you guys know about different run blocking schemes. Like how like the Denver Broncos are always known for their zone blocking scheme, and I think with Terrell Davis, I think sort of made that popular when he had those 2,000-yard rushing seasons for winning the Super Bowl. I don't think anyone was really doing those schemes before that, at least not doing it as well as them. And so Ohio State earlier in the year, and I think last year, we for a while have been doing zone blocking schemes, and our offensive line this year was just not effective at doing that. So they decided maybe about 4 weeks ago to switch to gap blocking schemes, and ever since then, so it's a combination of some of the teams have been easier, and not as good defensively, but also we switched our because even against the bad teams earlier in the year, we weren't able to run well, even when Henderson was there. When we had the zone scheme, we weren't able to run effectively with Henderson or anyone else. And then as soon as they switched the scheme to the gap blocking scheme, and we've also been doing a lot of like jet action with Xavier Johnson to keep people honest. As soon as they did that, our running game has exploded. So our passing game still hasn't been reliable, but our run game has just gotten infinitely better. And that's going to be a huge plus. So I'm confident in our running game tomorrow. I think the big question is going to be how Kyle holds up, and we have so many weapons on offense, and everyone's healthy now. So I mean, the last week was the first game since week 1 or 2 where Emeka was like fully healthy. I mean, he's been hurt since the Maryland game. I mean, he missed the Maryland game, so whatever the game was before that was the last time he was 100% until last week.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, and JJ, he's picking Michigan because of McCord. So he's got your same concerns, basically.
Yeah.
Kind of like the X factor. And I have to say, like, McCord impressed me against Notre Dame with what he did.
Yeah.
I know he doesn't look good. He's mid as hell, but like he
don't blow the game. That's all he's there to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
There's tons of offensive talent. They don't have this quarterback that's elite above everybody. He just needs to manage and not do stupid stuff. And Ohio State's probably they would put them in a good position to win. Ohio State's defense is better this year. Tons of talent on offense. Just don't blow it.
Yeah, I mean, Kyle McCord he impressed me versus Notre Dame. I didn't think he was going to bring them back.
Ohio State has the best receivers across the board in the country, from tight end to wide receivers, by far and away. They have a bunch of good running backs. The line's fine. It's just the quarterback can't do stupid shit that turns the ball over.
Yeah, we'll have to hope that happens. We'll have to hope. All right, Jason, to you. Why is Ohio State going to win?
Because this isn't the John Cooper era. There's no way any coach or any team loses 3 years in a row to Michigan. That's why. I think going back to what I just said too, is Ohio State's defense is a lot better than the last couple of years, so they're not as big as a liability. I think you've got all this talent across the board. On offense, the least talented spot is quarterback, which is fine because, again, you've got a team that's going to compensate for that. And then McCord can game manage, and he's going to game manage. He's going to spread the ball around. He's going to use his running backs. Michigan's not going to be able to use their defense to focus on one area, and they're going to break it after 3 times, or after 2 times. I said the third time is the charm. There's no way Ryan Day lets those guys lose a third time in a row.
It's funny that you say that because I used to say
He
that
will run
about
on the
Michigan.
field and tackle a Michigan guy before that happens.
I used to say that about Michigan back, this 20-year drought we had. We won like 2 games out of like 20.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of the years I was like, Michigan's got to win because how are they going to lose this many in a row?
The
That's
odds,
impossible.
right.
Odds. Yep.
Yeah, exactly.
And Nate was a big Hunger Games fan these last 20 years. May the odds be ever in your favor,
Yeah,
but they never were.
It's like when you play roulette. It's right. Like you
Yeah.
put it on black, you put it on black, you put it on black. It's red, red, red. As soon as you move your to the red, it's going to go black. So it's the same thing with this game.
Yep. And so I think that they're gonna be focusing on, I don't know, like I think like maybe early on they might try to get aggressive early just to back them off on the run game. But the hard thing is like I don't know how Michigan is going to come out and try to defend. Are they going to try to just double Marv, or are they going to say Will Johnson's good enough? We're going to have him shadow Marvin. Now they didn't last year. Last year, Will Johnson did a good job on Marvin Harrison, but he wasn't on him the whole game, right? And so he was able to make some big plays when he wasn't being covered by him. So are they going to, that makes your defense a little bit easier to
and you got
read
Farmer
when
Gronk,
you do
the
that.
secret weapon too. If you're doubling Marvin here, like right, who's
and then Mecca, but the matchups are so good. Like your star, your other star corner, who had two picks against Maryland, Samerstill. So he had that awesome play breaking up a touchdown against Cade Stover, Farmer Gronk last year in the end zone. That was one of the best defensive plays I saw all year. I mean, just unbelievable play because that was an easy touchdown, and just a great player.
The teams match up so close together.
Yeah,
that's what's hard about this.
Like, yes. So yeah, the offensive line, earlier in the year, like the funny thing is, like if you ask me week to week, is Ohio State good enough to beat Michigan? Like week 1, no, 2, 3, 4, like all these weeks, I would say, like maybe last week was the first time all year I thought, yeah, you know what, Ohio State might be able to beat Michigan this week. So last week was the first time I sort of really felt that. I just knew, like, thank God this team has a whole year to, get our guys healthy, get the offensive line up to speed, since a lot of them are first-year starters. The quarterback, the first-year starter is not that great. It just took some time to get all the pieces ready, and we're finally here.
Yeah.
So doesn't mean they're going to win, but this is the best they've looked, and it's the best chance. I think it's a 3-point game or something.
Yeah, if Ohio State gets down early, man, they can't rely on McCord to get them back in the game from a big.
Well, see, the interesting thing it's going to be what happened to Nate.
Nate's I don't know. Nate's gone.
So the interesting thing, Jason, would be what happens to Michigan if they get down. Like let's say we get super aggressive early, and we get a couple bombs to Marvin Harrison and Emeka early, and Cade Stover. And like we actually go up like 17-0 early on, are they going to? I mean, if they're smart, they'll keep trying to run the ball. But you have
that takes a lot of time, though, man. If you run the ball,
this isn't Harbaugh, but it isn't Harbaugh coaching, right? So Harbaugh will be smart enough to not panic in that situation. So is a rookie coach who's only, I think he's coached 2 games at the end of the year, and I think 1 earlier in the year during the first suspension of Harbaugh. So this will be game number 4, I believe, for Sharon Moore. And is he going to be able to, in a situation where there's a lot of adversity, let's say they're down big early, is he going to be able to stick with the game plan, or is he going to get nervous and try to pass?
Yeah, good questions. I think the natural instinct would try to pass, and I don't think McCarthy's been the pass offense this year, and McCarthy himself haven't been as good in years past. Yeah,
especially late. Like, so I felt like the last 2, really, since the Stallions debacle happened and that got exposed, I think the first game they played after that happened was Michigan State. And they had already, scouted them and everything. So they already knew their plan. But I think Michigan State was like running in the signs so they couldn't do anything. But
State was a broken team.
Yeah. Michigan State was just so awful. But ever since, the first full week after that, where they didn't have any game planning for any of the teams. I don't think he has had a single touchdown pass since after that.
Yeah. Well, going back
So
to like the instinct, Matt, to pass the ball, Ohio State's
yeah,
been doing a lot better job putting pressure on the quarterback this year than previous years, even though they don't have a ton of sacks to go with
yeah,
it.
it's so
They have a
weird, right?
lot of pressures, but Michigan will be in a bad disadvantage if they're doing that.
So you follow the NFL more than I do. So I want to know whether your experience in NFL or in college, do you ever recall a team that had an elite defense? Like, because Ohio State is either 1 and 2 in almost every defensive category, but they don't have sacks. And actually, we don't even have a lot of interceptions either. So do you remember like many college or pro teams that didn't have sacks or picks, but were ranked 1 or 2 and everything?
Yeah. So actually, this is funny. The Bengals, the Carson Palmer, that year, they should have won the Super Bowl or had a good
2005?
run. Yep, they had a really good. They had a really good secondary. They had a lot of interceptions. They did not have a lot of sacks, but their linebackers and their defensive backs were so good that they stopped everybody. They just didn't have a ton of sacks. That's the only team I can remember.
Yeah, but it seems like it's a pretty rare thing. But I mean, I guess the weird thing is
It's very rare.
Ohio State does at least get pressure. So even though they're not getting sacks, like you mentioned, like they are getting a lot of pressure.
Yep. Nate, did you wipe well enough? You're not going to get like butt crack itchies, are you?
Yep.
I assume that's where you went, as you
difficulties.
so rudely checked off. You had to go to the bathroom, right?
I did. Yeah. I mean, that's just what you do when you got to go to the bathroom during one of these. You just check out unexpectedly.
Yeah, don't take us in with you. That's all we ask.
Hey, don't give me any ideas. But yeah, sorry about that. So just why Ohio State will win. I'm going to do my part because I know
Okay.
as I was gone, I'm sure Matt
and I had a really
spewing.
good discussion, by the way, without you being present.
Yeah, I wasn't here to monitor that. But here's my honest take on why Ohio State's going to win. Real quick though, if you guys haven't subscribed, feel free to subscribe. We'd love that. Appreciate it. If you don't want to, that's okay too. Just love having all these people, just here talking about the rivalry because that's what we love. That's why we're doing it. So, in any case though, why Ohio State will win. So basically, Marvin Harrison Jr. Obviously, right? I mean, the dude is a freak. And I think this year, and if you noticed last year, and I'm sure you did, Matt, they did not throw to Marvin Harrison Jr. very much. Like in the red zone, they didn't throw to him in the end zone at all. They threw one touchdown pass to him, and that was only because we had a safety blitz. Rod Moore came. He was a deep safety, and he blitzed on Marv's side, and then so CJ just threw deep to him, and it was a touchdown. Boom. So obviously Michigan didn't try that again. And I don't think they're going to do it this year either. But I have noticed this year they're throwing to Marv in the red zone. Like if they get within the 10 or so, they're just throwing it up to him and saying, hey, he's probably going to catch it.
They're doing that after like not on first down though. I think they're still trying to run a little bit. Aren't they just waiting a couple plays to do that? I would throw that to them 3 times in a row.
Yeah, I mean the thing is like they've been diversifying their offense a little bit with that. So like they're getting handoffs to Marvin Harrison where he's getting a handoff and running it in like 18 yards, and they're throwing the fades. They're throwing like little hitch routes like in the middle of the end zone. Like he's all over. It's not just like one kind of route he's doing. They're just trying to get him involved in so many different ways, and obviously they're going to be doing a lot to try to probably help him. Even as good as Will Johnson is, like why would you risk it, right? Like you have to have a second safety to do something. And then that's why, like against Notre Dame, like who made the big play against Notre Dame? It wasn't Marvin Harrison, it was Emeka. Emeka made that huge play to get it down to the 2-yard line or whatever on third or fourth down with third or fourth and 18, and he got that huge 25-yard pass. So we need to have Stover and Farmer Gronk and Emeka Ibuka step up, and and along with Trey Henderson. Like God, he's just been just fantastic when that guy's healthy. He actually has vision this year too, because I remember he put up some pretty big yards his freshman year, and then he was hurt all of last year mostly, and he's never been known for being able to break tackles. We used to always make fun of him for that because basically he has to have a completely clear lane and no one can touch him because if he gets tripped up, he'll just fall down. So he's never been good at that. And then like this year, he's like weaving in and breaking tackles, pushing people over, weaving in and out of traffic. Like
it's almost like he wants to improve his draft position.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's rated as the number one draft eligible running back.
Andrew, so hold on, Matt. Andrew's crazy. There's no way. Neither team wins by 20 plus.
That's why I left it on there. I need some of Andrew's positivity.
Come on, Andrew. If Andrew's in Michigan, we know pot is legal for recreational use. I think.
Well, you know why though. So here's the thing. So people are saying, you could win by 20, and you're concerned that, well, how is that going to happen with two elite defenses? Well, the reason why one team may win by 20 is because of defensive scores.
Yeah.
Or defensive plays where you get a turnover, interception, fumble.
But Ohio State doesn't turn the ball over really a lot this year at all. They're very conservative.
No. Yeah, but I mean, you have two defenses that are way better than the offenses in this game, right? Yeah. So if you look at, EPA per play, like the Michigan offense has not been efficient, this year, and neither is the Ohio State offense really. Like they're not, neither offense is elite.
Ohio State's not putting up a boatload of points like they're used to.
So they're both very good offenses, but they're not elite. Both defenses are elite. These are like the two best defenses that statistically these are probably the two best defenses we've had in 30 years. I mean,
imagine if Stroud was the quarterback this year.
Yeah,
he's got to be so pissed off.
A game.
He's got to be so pissed.
I love that CJ never beat Michigan, and he lost to two Michigan quarterbacks. But that's kind of mean for me to say that.
Well, you know what though, he may not get the win, but after this year or after next year, he may not have any losses against them.
Oh, I see where you're going with that.
So Antoine has an interesting question here.
Yeah,
who has more multiple ways?
I think Michigan wins that one. I think Michigan can
special
beat
teams,
pass, and the run game.
Is special teams to make or break?
I don't know.
You got Kyle. Kyle's not gonna. I mean, he did do it against Notre Dame, and they do have Marvin Harrison that he can throw it up to. But I mean, if you take the pass away from Ohio State, I don't think they can just line it up and run it like Michigan did. Like, look at
I don't know. I think Travion is the best running back in the game.
So we're just going to run it, and they did it. But you could make an argument to say that vice versa. If someone takes away the run, can Michigan really pass their way to victory against a good defense?
I think if you match up all the teams together, like all the key things that they're going to balance out. Like I don't think you're going to see one team that has more of an advantage versus the others. I think it's going to be relatively equal across the board. Hey, Ohio State has better coaching, but Michigan has better special team. I think you start doing that, they're going to be pretty even. I don't think, to Antoine's question, that one team has more multiple ways of beating the other. I think they're pretty close.
All right. Hey, let me finish my my list of why Ohio State is going to win.
Okay.
So I said Marvin Harrison Jr. was first. That's an easy one. Harbaugh isn't coaching. And I don't necessarily know if our offensive coordinator, who's a great coach, either way, he's a great coach. Sharon Moore's great. But I don't
hold on, Nate. Do we know that he's not coaching in the game?
Jim Harbaugh, do you think maybe he's going to be on the phone?
He's got a headset somewhere.
Did it say you couldn't coach or you couldn't help? It just said he couldn't be in the stadium.
So you think he's just going to be on the phone?
He could potentially be calling all the plays,
game day
right?
activities. He says he can't participate in game day activities. Now, of course, they could have someone on the phone with someone else that's next to Harbaugh. And I mean, I don't know why they.
I wouldn't put it past those dirty cheaters, right, Antoine? I'm sure Antoine knows. He knows how they roll.
Hey, nope. But okay, there's that. I don't think I don't think you guys are giving that enough credit of missing your head coach. That's huge.
That's what I said at the beginning a little bit about Michigan.
I'll say I didn't think it was as big of a deal because in this particular situation, he's allowed to do all the coaching throughout the week. So like, if you had the option, would you rather Harbaugh be on the during the game, being able to be there and to help out, even though he's not a play caller, but being able to be there and do whatever he does during the games? Would you rather have that, but then he can't help during the week? or would you rather have him help do all the game planning and be there for every second of the week?
Because he could script out a lot of the stuff with everybody,
yeah.
right?
I don't know what I would like.
He could put a chart there
less.
and be like, in this situation, do this. I mean, I think that what he's able to do is more valuable, I think.
Especially if his coaching staff has been with him long enough to understand, and take on what he's trying to do. Yeah, there we go, Mark.
Trash. Yeah, I have less confidence. No, I have more confidence in Michigan than I did last year, because last year Michigan almost lost to Illinois. The game right before this, they looked like dog water.
Well, Illinois was really good last year. That was a great team that they were playing. It wasn't Maryland 2023. It wasn't Maryland, that's for sure. I would feel a lot more. I mean, Illinois they were an elite team last year, especially on defense. And Maryland is just, they're a middling. Per Diego, they're a middling team. The fact that you guys almost lost a middling Maryland team.
You guys said all season long that Maryland was a good team, and I laughed.
Well, you know what? Every year Maryland is really good the first 5 weeks, and then they get a few injuries, and then they're toast because they never have the depth that everyone else does.
Yeah, and they're good when they're playing like whatever community college or all girls school, whatever, line up against them.
Well, okay. So my next reason that Ohio State will win the game, theoretically. So Travion Henderson. I mean, I was dogging him a little bit about the competition, earlier when we were talking about it. But at the same time, that guy gets loose, he's gone.
Yeah,
he's seriously gone. Like, he's one of those guys that DBs can't catch him. Even if you got a good angle on that guy, he could outrun it. And it's just he scares the heck out of me. And I don't think he's necessarily going to be able to just line it up and run it behind Ohio State's offensive line. But I'm scared to death of him catching passes out of the backfield, because I think that's one of the ways they're going to be able to get Henderson the ball and out in space and juking. That scares me. It scares me more than him just lining it up and running it. I know.
Luckily
he's just been lighting it up lately. He's healthy. He looks like he was as a freshman. And,
luckily for you that Kyle's not very good at throwing screen passes.
Yeah, he's good at screen passes. He's great as long as Travion isn't more than 10 plus yards down the field. McCord will get it to him.
No, that's the thing though. He's actually he's bad at screen passes. He's fine at short throws, but for some reason he can't do a screen. I don't know why.
Really? Oh wow.
Ohio State, we've never been able to. I don't know if it's part
he doesn't have a lot of touch, man.
Yeah, I don't know. They've always been bad at running screens. It just seems like especially if you have a great running back like that, it seems like it would be a really easy thing to do. But we've never been able to really effectively do it.
I love the comments. I get so distracted by the comments to the side even before you post them.
Oh, I wanted to make a comment too that's probably surprising, because I'm just sort of going back and thinking of all the Ohio State great receivers over the year, and everyone seems to just love Marvin Harrison so much and think he's like the best receiver ever. He's going to be a top 3 pick, which he's supposed to be. But the thing that I don't understand about him, and just from watching other receivers this year and just all the great Ohio State receivers, as far as a college receiver goes, how many passes do you think he's had this year where he was just like wide open and just running and streaking down the field?
Not a lot.
Not very many.
I mean, he had that one against Youngstown State where
part of it
clocked
is
him at 22 miles an hour. But like I watch teams with great receivers on LSU and Oregon, and like I'm constantly seeing guys where
but the quarterback can hit those guys in stride though.
That's probably a huge part of it. But like even last year, I don't remember too many. Like when CJ Stroud had Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson, who were in JSN. JSN isn't the fastest guy. Obviously Garrett Wilson and Olave are both really fast. And the reason Marvin Harrison wasn't ranked very highly coming out of high school is because his speed was pretty slow. So he's increased it a bit, to be where it's good enough to still be a top 3 pick or top 5 pick in the draft. But he doesn't. It's just weird because he doesn't seem like like all the other elite receivers in Ohio State history. Everyone seems to think that Marvin Harrison's the best. He's the only 2-time 1,000-yard receiver we've had. But I don't know. I just think all these other guys, they have more moves. He seems like he's just more of an elite possession receiver.
He's
like,
no Reggie Germany on or off the field.
yeah, I don't know, man. I mean, Garrett Wilson is juking people. Olave is burning people deep and just never drops anything. I mean,
But CJ Stroud could throw that deep ball like with accuracy, though.
yeah.
Different story. All right, where are we at? Are we predictions now to close this thing out? We've got a lot of great comments on there. A lot of great comments.
Oh yeah, and
appreciate the participation.
Let's do your round, Jason. Let's go for the lightning round.
Okay.
And then we'll do the picks right after that.
Okay, Matt, we're going to start with you since you missed the last one and we had to put in Diego. God help us all. All right.
God help us all.
First team to score.
Ohio State.
Nate?
Ohio State.
Okay, first type of score. Nate?
Passing touchdown to Marvin Harrison Jr.
Matt?
Travion Henderson. Run.
I don't like that. I do think Ohio State's going to score first, though.
Okay. Will there be a defensive touchdown in this game, Matt?
Oh, of course. It's whether or not, it's how many there's going to be. I wouldn't be surprised if there was at least two, one on each side at least. I'm guessing there's going to be like a lot of defensive scores happening here with these shaky quarterbacks and elite defenses.
I don't think there's going to be any defensive scores. None. I think both teams are going to be playing pretty scared in the first half. They're going to be real, pretty vanilla. But
I don't think so.
I don't think it's gonna do it.
Okay. Over under on turnovers 2.5. Matt.
Total for the both teams.
Total.
Both teams over.
Nate.
Under
2.5. So two or fewer. Okay.
Matt really thinks. Yeah.
Combined
two elite defenses against these above average offenses. They're going to be, both teams are going to be making turnovers, guaranteed.
Okay. Combined at touchdown over under 6.5. Nate.
For both teams?
Yeah, combined.
Okay.
Combined
touchdowns.
Number of touchdowns?
Yes, 6.5.
Under.
Matt?
I think over, but that's because of defensive scores.
Oh God.
Okay.
Yeah, that's true. All right.
Will there be a missed
That's
field?
a backhanded compliment to the people who think that it's because of an offensive scoring game.
Are we going to see a missed field goal in this game, Matt?
Brandon.
Yeah.
Okay. Nate.
A missed field goal?
Yep.
Nah.
Okay. Will there be a 100-yard rusher in this game, Nate?
Yes.
Matt.
Yes. No, he's going to think it's his guy, and I think it's going to be Travion.
That's why. All right, Nate. Who's it going to be?
I think it's going to be Blake Corum, but I wouldn't be surprised if Henderson got over 100 too. I mean, honestly, I could say one question: do you think both teams are going to have a 100-yard rusher? And I think that's very possible. I think that there's not going to be a lot of points scored, but I also think that both teams are going to struggle in the red zone. And between the 20s, I think they're probably they're gonna move the ball, both teams, somewhat, and especially Ohio State. I think Michigan's gonna let them move the ball between the 20.
Antoine thinks Michigan's going to win by 17 points. They're going to be lucky to get 17.
That's interesting. All right.
I hope you're right.
Dark horse MVP candidates. Nate, start.
Dark horse MVP candidate
of the game, not of the season. The game.
Oh my gosh.
Dark horse.
I got this one easy.
Michigan tight end Colston Loveland.
Okay, Matt.
That's a good choice because he's going up against the weakest part of our defense. So that's definitely a good choice. I don't know if that's a dark horse pick for people that know football, but I agree with you. But for me, I would say Carnell Tate. We usually have the last 20 years or so, we've always seemed to have like a freshman who comes in, and by the end of the year, Chris Olave, his first game against Michigan, he had a punt block and he had 2 touchdowns. So I don't think Carnell Tate is necessarily going to be that effective, but I think he's going to be the dark horse, and he's going to make a big score in the game.
Okay. Nice. Most likely to make a critical mistake, and coaches are open game on this one, Matt.
Wait, say again?
Most likely to make a critical mistake.
From the coaches?
No, anybody, but coaches are open to this one.
Oh, I would say our special teams coach is going to screw something up.
Okay. Nate?
I'll do both.
Okay.
Player-wise, what was the question again? Just a mistake?
Most likely to
Yeah.
make a critical mistake.
Make a critical mistake?
Mhm.
JJ. I could go JJ or McCord here. I could see either one of those doing that, but JJ has in the past made his critical mistakes, at least in the regular season, early and not against Ohio State. So I'm going to go McCord. He's going to make a critical mistake.
And I'm gonna name
that Moore, Michigan's interim coach, Sharon Moore, is going to make a critical mistake at some point in the game. And
I'm gonna name my player who's gonna make a. I'm gonna go with your tackles instead of just one person. I think both of your tackles are gonna make crucial
offensive
mistakes.
tackles.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Most likely to underperform in the game. Nate, we'll start with you.
Most likely player to underperform in the game.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hard one.
Most likely, I would say.
So it's got to be a decent
Ohio
player.
State's receiver Emeka Abuka, because he's a little injured, a little banged up. He hasn't been very good this year. I don't know if that's fair to him because I picked an semi-injured player.
I don't think he's injured anymore. He looked really good last week. I don't know.
All right.
I think he's close. I think he's close to 100%.
Matt, what are you going with? Most likely to underperform.
I am going to say. Let's see. This is a tough one. I mean, there's not too many people. I'm going to go with Blake Corum because I think both running backs are going to do well in Michigan. I don't think that they're going to be a leader or anything. I don't think there's going to be a 100-yard rusher. I think they're both do well. I think Edwards. I think the bigger concern is Edwards catching a screen and making a big play because he's so fast. I think that's going to be the bigger concern. But I think going into the game, most fans of Michigan and just in general are probably going to think that Corum is going to have 150 yards and 3 touchdowns because he leads the nation in touchdowns, right? So, I think that he's going to have, under 100 yards and only 1 touchdown. I mean, he's obviously going to do decent. I mean, he's a great player, but I don't think he's going to go off like a lot of Michigan fans think he will.
Okay.
Interesting. Andrew says he thinks Henderson is the most likely to perform. And it's possible. I think if Henderson doesn't bust one, because that's what, like those big plays, if Michigan can stop him from making those humongous plays, then it's very possible Henderson could be in that group.
Yeah, but he hasn't been doing that anymore. Like he's been getting like tons of 10-yard, 20-yard runs. Like he's been getting everything. So he's missed like 3 games, right? And if you look at all the running backs in the Big Ten, he has the most 20-yard runs. He has the most 30-yard runs. He has the most 40-yard runs. Like every level of big run, he's number 1, and he's missed like 3 games.
And he's fresh. He hasn't played very much.
And he's fresh. Yeah.
And he's
all right, Matt. We're going to start with you. What's going to be the biggest surprise of the game?
The biggest surprise. Let's see.
That's open to anything, man.
I think after the game when they win, I think Ryan Day is going to yell at Bo Schembechler and ask like he did Lou Holtz.
Where's Bo now?
Where's Bo?
What was the question, Jason? I wasn't paying attention.
What's going to be the biggest surprise of the game?
Oh my God!
To be serious though, it's going to be Day saying something crazy after he wins.
Is that going to be a surprise though?
Well, I mean, I think what he says is going to be, because he's a pretty reserved guy outside of that one comment he made about Lou Holtz. I think he's going to really, because you could tell he's been holding back.
He likes to abuse the elderly.
He wants to like get some stuff off his chest. I think he's going to go off.
You think he's going to be very emotional and do a little bit of ranting?
Yeah, he's going to do some ranting. It'll be fun.
Okay, Nate, what's going to be the biggest surprise of the game?
Biggest surprise is I'm going with Andrew's comment, 20-plus win for Michigan. And the biggest surprise is going to be when Michigan's the backup, the interim coach, he's going to go for 2 at the end of the game, just like Woody Hayes did. That's what's going to happen.
And why is he going to go for 2?
I don't know.
Because he can't go for 3.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
on, Nate.
Yeah.
I already knew that.
Son of a bitch. This is your show. What the hell?
Well, so the funny thing is like, I don't know. Like, so Nate, if you had to put money on this game, Nate, who would you bet?
Oh, what a jerk move! So I did a little exercise this year. So I've never bet money on football, really no sports ever. But I've always been like I always make comments like, but if I was going to put money on it, you know how you always start that out where you just kind of try and clarify your thoughts. But like if I'm going to put money on it, so I did. I placed a bet on this game.
Wow.
Put $100 down on the team that I think I'm going to win, and I used my financial brain and not my sports-minded, fan brain. And I put $100 on Ohio State to win.
Ooh.
And it's
so
not because
even our
Michigan
fan is not has no faith in his team here.
Antoine's going to send some very bad comments at you, Nate.
No, I don't think it's because of team talent. I don't think it's because of really anything other than we don't have our head coach in the game. I think that's a huge deal. It's huge.
Yeah. Okay, so all right. Well, let's. You want to do our final scores then?
Yes.
I'm done with my lightning round or whatever, speed round, whatever we're calling this thing.
Yes. All right, Jason. Let's hear your score prediction.
Yeah.
Who's going to win?
It's going to be 24-20 Ohio State. Go Bucks.
24-20 Ohio State. Interesting. Okay. Matt. You are up with your pick. This is it.
Let's see.
What we've been waiting for. This is the whole year.
I know.
We've been leading up to this.
I think it's going to be 27-21.
27-21. Michigan.
Ohio State. Ohio State's going to win.
Yeah. Oh gosh. So I'm going to use my fan brain to make this pick. I'm picking Michigan, even though I bet.
You put your money.
I put money on Ohio State. I can't pick Ohio.
You should be forced to choose Ohio State, man. Put your money where your mouth is.
Well, no,
I already
in his
put my money where my
defense, Jason,
mouth
I think the reason that he did that was so he thinks that Michigan's going to win, but he wants to at least get some money if his team loses.
Okay, that help compensate.
That's what I think it is. Yes,
just to make sure if I win, I'll win $145.
Good.
It's just the money line.
Then we're all going to the Sizzler on Nate.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I'm just going to put that money away for the next time I see you guys.
And also to clarify, I'm not picking Ohio State to kick any field goals here. That's 4 touchdowns and a missed extra point.
Okay.
This is very possible. Oh, Nate, did you give a final score?
No, not yet.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever see the movie? I hate to bring this up; it shows my age. But the movie Lionheart with Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Of course, I saw that.
You remember the end of that?
Yes.
Wrong bet. Because that one dude. I'm feeling like that, and I hope I'm right. I hope I'm wrong. But yeah, I'm picking Michigan to win by. Let's see. 28-14.
Wow.
2 touchdowns.
Doubling them up.
Because I think it's going to be like typical. Whoever wins this game, I don't think it's going to be like 3 points. Because that would mean the game is that close.
You think no matter who wins, it's not going to be.
And someone kicks a field goal
close
to win
game.
Or something,
Yeah.
I don't.
Or gets a garbage time touchdown, or to get closer.
I think the loser in this game, by the end of the fourth quarter, is going to be so dejected that something's going to happen where the other team runs for a touchdown or an 80-yard touchdown or something. Kind of like what happened last year. Buckeyes, were dejected, and then all of a sudden, Donovan Edwards busted for like 85 yards. I think it's going to end like that this year too. The winner's going to just put their foot on the neck of whoever loses. So I'm not thinking it's going to be that close of a game.
All right,
it might be close all the way up to that point, but there's going to be
just going to run away with
the game, pretty much. But then there's going to be a pile on. That's my prediction.
I have one last question for everybody because I'm gonna answer it when you guys are both done. What is your one lock for this game? The one thing that is you guarantee is going to happen. Matt, start with you.
I think my biggest lock is the Ohio State MVP of the game will be Travion Henderson.
Okay, that's easy enough to believe. Nate, what's yours?
My lock? Oh my gosh. That's a really good question. That's tough in a game like this, locks. I think that Kyle McCord is going to get strip sacked.
Okay, interesting.
I think that's going to happen in this game.
Okay, my lock for this game, and this is how we can close out everything, is the interim Michigan coach will cry.
What? Say that again?
The interim Michigan coach will cry. That's my lock.
Either way. Either
right?
way.
Do you guys disagree with me?
My other lock is that Harbaugh will not coach another game for Michigan.
Ooh.
I wouldn't say that's a lock, but that's a good.
That's my lock.
Call.
Very probable.
Because I've been hearing a lot of reports that he might get suspended for the whole next year, and if that's the case, he's just going to go play for his brother.
Supposedly, Texas A&M wants to talk to him or has been talking to him.
You said that. Is that? I need to look that article up. Did you actually read that at a reputable place, or were you on?
I mean, it was on the internet. It's got to be reputable, right?
I heard that Ryan Day was also offered a job at A&M.
I mean, listen, I would take
true.
A&M because they're going to fire you and you're going to walk away with a ton of money. That is a great gig, so take it.
I would take that job in a second.
I mean, you want to pay me I'll take $7 million to go away.
Yeah, no matter where I was coaching, I would take that job.
I would leave where I was at and go there and get fired and retire.
Yeah, only had to like coach 3 out of 7 years, and then you're good to go.
You're good for life. Your offspring are good for life.
Yep. Andrew Lane says Kyle McCord is going to throw a pick 6. That's his lock.
Interesting, Andrew. I don't know if I agree with that. That's pretty ballsy, though. Yeah, it's sure.
A lot of interceptable balls.
Speaking of, did you guys watch the Dolphins game? Well, Matt didn't because he was flying back from Jamaica. But
I did watch part of it. I was able
that
to
Hail Mary in the first half.
Yeah. Wasn't that crazy? 99-yard return.
Well, soon every single Jet receiver fell down the end zone, and like soon as that guy caught the ball, I was like, "There's a 99% chance he's going to score," because all the fast dudes were laying on the ground. So
the last guy should have tackled him. That was such an embarrassing.
Well, the poor quarterback got juked out of his jock shorts. So man, he looked bad.
Yeah.
The Jets will do what the Jets do.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. Well, let's wrap this up.
Yeah,
thanks everyone in the chat. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I just want to say
awesome.
I think that there's a really good chance that JJ and McCord are going to be giving touchdowns to the other team, at least one each, whether it's an interception or a fumble.
Neither team can afford to do that. So,
well, I think that it's going to cancel each other out.
It'll cancel it out.
They're both going to do it.
I love the engagement from the people watching and all the comments and stuff. Really good, really entertaining. It's a lot more fun to read that than listen to you two.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Very thankful.
I agree.
On this Thanksgiving for that, for 100% sure. But yeah, thanks everyone. Glad to see you. Like, hope everyone has a lot of fun watching the game.
When are we going to do a follow-up, Nate?
Sunday night.
Right after the game. Let's commit.
Are we going to do it live right after the game?
We'll do either right after the game or on Sunday.
Okay.
Just depends. But we'll talk about
that. Depending on if you win or not.
Depending on exactly.
Because if you guys after you guys lose, you might need a day to compose yourself from me sending you a message about loving the smell of napalm in the morning.
Yeah, I might
like
be busy
victory.
like in my bathtub covered in whiskey. Because if that happens, it could be very, very, very disappointing.
Yeah, just to let everyone know, when I went to Ohio State, John Cooper was our coach. So every single day, I would after the Ohio State Michigan game, I would get a message on our answering machine with him playing that music in the background and talking about victory, napalm in the morning. Oh, it was just awful.
It's a long time ago.
That's awesome. All right, guys, have a good one. Go Blue.
Go Bucks.
Go Bucks.